सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Chapter 5, Path to God. We'll read that chapter.
Chapter 5, Path to God. A paradigm shift. A human being is constituted of spirit and matter. Spirit is the supreme self, God, and matter, body, mind, and intellect. But the plight of human beings all over is that they have lost cognizance of the self within and are totally involved and attached to the material equipments. Their attachments have further grown into desires which have created the barrier between a human and God. American philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson drives home this truth elegantly. Every man is a divinity in disguise, a God playing the fool. The self identifying with the material layers creates the ego and egocentric desires. Religion is designed to eradicate the desires and dissolve the ego, thereby return to one's original being, the self within. The word religion, etymologically derived from Latin terms re and ligare, means to rejoin. The Sanskrit word yoga, derived from its root yuj, means to unite. Both words suggest that a human being discard his ego and egocentric desires and regain his supreme self. To relinquish your self-asserting ego, you need to drop the notion of I and my, me and mine in all transactions of your life. Edward Carpenter, an Englishman of spiritual experience, states, "Never before could I have believed it, but I see it all now. There is no happiness unless you have clean dropped thinking about yourself. But you must not do it by halves. While even there is the least grain of self left, it will spoil it all. You must just leave it all behind and vouchsafe the personality and mind that much sympathy as to any stranger, no more, no less. Hence must you banish attachment and anxiety, brush aside fear of censure and hope of appreciation. Consider yourself as you would a stranger. Cast aside your cherished personal ego and pass disembodied out of yourself. You are then on the path of evolution. Embarking on the spiritual course would entail an initial preparation of the seeker. He would require to make a paradigm shift in his lifestyle and thinking from a routine life engaged in fulfilling mundane desires to pursuing the ideal of spiritual enlightenment. Lacking such a conviction to pursue the higher, people spend their entire life trying in vain to fulfill their insatiable desires for acquisition and enjoyment. The unfulfilled desires project themselves further into a continual chain of birth and death. Hence, the primary preparation for pursuing the spiritual path is to shift the focus of attention from one's preoccupation with the affairs of the world to a planned, programmed path to the sublime reality. To achieve this objective, one has to tune in all aspects of one's life related to its execution.
Chapter 5 is it the path to God. Paradigm shift. The topic. The word paradigm means looking at it in a different way. That's what the paradigm means. The word paradigm means you have been looking at it in a particular way. Now you can look at it differently. It's the very broad meaning of the word paradigm. What you have been looking at and what you should shift is the theme here. A human being, before getting onto the path, you remember sometime back in one of the sessions we spoke about the stages. A person is a human being in the very initial stages of one's journey in life. When I say one's journey means it could be one janma or it could be many janmas. It could be in this janma or it could be over many janmas. At the very first stage, a human being is interested in materialistic acquisitions. So what we called as, to put it simply, make a chart, it becomes easy. All human beings, divide them into non-seekers and seekers. Make it like that, non-seekers and seekers. The non-seekers are of two types. You can say type 1 and type 2. Seekers also type 1 and type 2. So all human beings can be categorized into these four categories. In the initial stages, in the human journey, in the human life, what one does, the focus is on material acquisition. A non-seeker means one who is also seeking something. Actually speaking, all human beings are seekers. What you seek, we categorize into two. Again, I repeat, even though we call them as non-seekers and seekers, again, it's a wrong word. Because every word you think has its own limitation. So all human beings are seekers. Depending on what you seek, we categorize them as seeker and non-seeker. So a non-seeker is one who is seeking materiality and sensuality. So a person who is seeking materiality and sensuality is a non-seeker. A seeker means one who wants to pursue the path of discovering Brahman, knowing God. You can call knowing God, you can call as knowing oneself, any word you use. Because some don't like to use the word God, they would like to use the word oneself. Very egoistic there, because even there they have to think there, they have to know oneself. So either you use the word God or use the word oneself, it doesn't really matter. But what it means is you are seeking the higher. So what does the non-seeker do? A paradigm shift is required. From the non-seeker to the seeker, a paradigm shift is required. Are you able to follow why the shift is required? From the non-seeker to the seeker, a paradigm shift is required. And the non-seeker again can be categorized into two types. Why I bring in this categorization of the non-seeker also as two types is because the non-seeker type 2 sometimes would be misunderstood as a spiritual person. Just to make sure that he is not a spiritual person, you bring this distinction. The first type of non-seeker type 1. Are you understanding the difference between non-seeker and seeker? Non-seeker means seeking materiality and sensuality as the ultimate goal and purpose of life. Seeking materiality and sensuality as the fulfillment of life is a non-seeker. He believes, or that individual believes, that person believes, if I get this, my life is fulfilled. My life is fulfilled. Technically, it is called Artha Kama. The technical terms. Artha and Kama. Artha means wealth, Kama means fulfillment. So, you seek wealth for fulfilling your desires, whatever be it. So, that person is called non-seeker. Are you able to, till now, is it okay? That non-seeker can be divided into two. What are the two divisions? How they pursue Artha Kama. One type of person pursue Artha Kama without any rules and regulations. If you get by lottery ticket, buy a lottery ticket. If you can get it by murdering somebody, murder. If you can get it by exploiting and cheating, do it. Doesn't matter. So, acquiring wealth and fulfillment becomes the goal, irrespective of any laws, any rule, or he will make his own rules. Example, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana. They made their own rules. Second type is they are also interested in acquiring wealth and materiality only, but they follow some basic rules and regulations. What is called as morals and ethics. They follow some ethics, they follow some morals, but still what is their goal? What is their seeking? Materiality and sensuality. Therefore, whether you seek materiality and sensuality without any rules or you seek materiality and sensuality with some rules, both put together is called non-seeker. Type 1, type 2. Invariably, sometimes what happens, the type 2 non-seekers misunderstand themselves to be very spiritual. That's why they come and say, even before coming to the classes, I was practicing Vedanta, sir. Even before coming to study Vedanta, I was practicing. Only thing I didn't know that I was practicing Vedanta. Now I know that I'm practicing Vedanta. What to tell to that person? I also say, yeah, very good, very good. I didn't know that. I knew Vedanta only after coming to Vedanta. Before that, I wasn't practicing any Vedanta at all. All my Vedanta started after joining the academy only. So, that non-seeker type 2 misunderstand themselves to be spiritual. Paradigm shift. At this point enters paradigm shift. What is paradigm shift now? From the non-seeker, you turn to a seeker. And then what the seeker does, I'm sure everybody sitting in this classroom can give a lecture on that. I know what the seeker should do. Yeah. How to bring the paradigm shift is the topic here. After turning into a seeker, what should one do? That we are very clear, isn't it? Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. You do karma, you do bhakti, you do jnanam, all that. How to shift the focus from the non-seeker to the seeker. That is called the starting point of path to God. That is the starting point. You shift to a paradigm shift. That paradigm shift requires shift means focus means understanding. A change in your understanding is required. That's how he's continuing the thought flow. A change in your understanding is required to shift your focus. How to do that? He's going to say later what all we should focus on, and we will see as we continue the chapter, we will see that. What is this paradigm shift? A change in understanding is required. A changing understanding means a complete changing understanding is required. Can't be half understanding, can't be quarter understanding. It has to be a complete shift in understanding. Paradigm shift, Ramatirtha puts it very beautifully in one of the lectures. He says, you can't serve two masters at the same time. You can't serve two masters at the same time, he says. You can't be materialist and sensualist on the weekdays and weekends turn spiritual. Yeah. You can't be a weekend father, isn't it? Can you be a weekend father? Can you be a weekend mother? Can you be a weekend husband? Can you be a weekend wife? Well, that is not possible. Either you are this or that paradigm. That's what is meant by paradigm. You can't serve two masters at the same time. You can't, he says, you can't serve Satan and Christ at the same time. Satan, materiality and sensuality, etc. Christ, the supreme reality. So you can't be chasing you can't be one leg on Satan and one leg on Christ. That paradigm shift to shift both the legs from Satan to Christ is the paradigm shift. Requires a change in knowledge, a change in understanding. What is the change in knowledge and understanding? 4 words you drop from your vocabulary. You have to drop 4 words. And if you drop those 4 words, you will become silent. You will not know what to say. That is the paradigm shift. The 4 words that you have to drop from your vocabulary, don't worry, it's there in the book only. He said it. The 4 words that you have to drop from the vocabulary is I and my, me and mine. Those 4 words you drop from your vocabulary, the paradigm shift has happened. So what is the practice? First practice. Drop these 4 words. In any transaction, in all transactions, be conscious not to use I. I think. Yeah. Who's bothered about you? I think. In my opinion, whether you think or your opinion, nobody is. For everybody has got their own thinking, everybody has got their own opinion, and everybody is preoccupied with their own thinking and An opinion. Who's bothered? If you see conversation between two people, actually they don't converse. Appears to be a conversation. This person will be talking simply about oneself, and the other person will be patiently waiting. As soon as this person starts, the other will start. Talking about what? What do they talk? They talk about themselves. So wherever you go, have you observed it or learn to observe it? Learn to observe it, not in others. Huh? As it is, we know how to criticize the others so much, and this knowledge aids that. This knowledge aids that criticism more. Not observe it, not in others. Observe it in yourself. Or when the other starts talking about themselves, observe your reaction. What is your reaction? You go to a conversation. A person starts talking about oneself. What is your reaction? What do you do? Rombo bore அடிப்பார் sir. That person is very boring, you will say. You know why? Why you call that person very boring? That person will talk about himself or herself and will not give you an opportunity to talk about yourself. He will talk about oneself, she will talk about oneself and get up and go away. Who is a very accommodative person? This person is a very good conversationist. You can have a good conversation with that person. Who is a very good conversationist? Not only that person will talk about himself or herself and also will give you an opportunity to talk about yourself. And when that person is talking about himself or herself, what do you do? What do you do? You switch off. Correct? You pretend. Yeah, the head is only nodding, but mentally you are switched off. What makes you to believe the other is going to listen to you? Because world is the mirror. World is like the mirror. What you do to others is what? That's the law. You may agree, you may not agree. You may accept, you may not accept. The law doesn't change. What you do to others is what the world, because it's the mirror. No, world is the mirror. You stand in front of the mirror wearing the white kurta, the reflection will have white kurta. Supposing you are wearing a white kurta and the mirror is showing a black kurta. Is it possible? It is not possible. World is the mirror. So observe it in yourself. What is observation? When you start talking about, when somebody starts talking about oneself, what do? You switch off. Similarly, when you start talking about yourself, what will the other do? They switch off. If they are pretending to listen to you and agree with you, means a few does that also. A few will do that. If they are pretending to listen to you, if they are agreeing to listen to you, means there is an axe to grind. Something is wanted. So they have to, unless they cooperate and accept, they will not get. Yeah. This is called I don't know, whatever you call. I don't want to use those words now. Yeah. Paradigm shift. Stop using these 4 words. I and my, me and mine. And every time you have to use only these 4 words. Remember, that's why Swamiji gives this example. When you buy a book, read the preface of the book. If there is one I in that preface, discard that book. And you buy any book and see in prefaces, there will be 25 25 eyes. I am not qualified to write this book, isn't it? He says that you should listen to his explanation. I can't imitate him. He's so, he's a very good dramatist. He knows how to. The first sentence in the book says, I am not qualified to write this book. Then why write? I am not qualified to take class and then sit and take class. A false, there is this I and my, me and mine brings about a falsity in life, a falsity in all transactions of life. There is that falsity. Therefore, what is paradigm shift? Paradigm shift is a complete shift in understanding. A complete shift in understanding. What understanding? From materiality to sensuality. The seeking changes from materiality and sensuality to seeking the reality. You can call it reality, you can call it Brahman, you can call it God. Doesn't matter. But paradigm shift means what? Shifting the understanding. 4 chapters we have discussed about the reality. Therefore, now what is required? The shift in understanding is required. After reading the up to Mahavakyas, we have what all we have studied. We have studied the microcosm, we have studied the macrocosm, we have seen the expression of divine in microcosm, we have seen the expression of divine in macrocosm. We studied the Kshara, Akshara, Uttama Purusha, and then we studied so many things, and then last we concluded with the four aphorisms, the 4 Mahavakyas. All these knowledge put together will bring about this paradigm shift. It's not a new topic. It's a continuation of having read all this, having understood all this. What happens now? A paradigm shift. And any shift cannot happen overnight. It has to be a gradual growth. You cannot. Growth is always gradual. Growth doesn't happen overnight. And path to God is a practical way of elaborating the gradual shift. Are you able to follow? Here, make a note. Here, make a note. This is very important here. Knowledge remains the same. Your understanding keeps on bettering. Don't say knowledge changes. Knowledge remains the same. Your clarity should improve. So knowledge remaining the same, your clarity goes on increasing. So in that sense, the clarity doesn't change overnight. It is a gradual growth. Are you able to follow? When we say gradual growth means it's not a gradual growth of knowledge. The knowledge remains the same. Knowledge doesn't change. What the knowledge doesn't change? Human being equals spirit and matter. You can focus on the matter and lose the spirit. You can focus on the spirit and witness the matter. This doesn't change. This remains constant. When you say there is a gradual growth, what is meant by gradual growth here? By gradual growth, what is meant is your clarity goes on improving. What is the clarity? How you shouldn't get involved with the matter, and how you should learn to identify with the spirit and witness the matter. As your clarity goes on increasing, we say you are evolving. So What is your growth? What does growth means? It's not the growth of knowledge. Knowledge remains the same, but your understanding goes on becoming better and better and better. Always remember this. Wherever we talk about growth, wherever we talk about the path, Bhagavad Gita remains the same. The 4 aphorisms remains the same. That doesn't change. You don't read different books, correct? You read it is the same books that is read over and over, again and again. It means knowledge remains the same. But what mistake people do, instead of focusing on the clarity, they believe that if they go on reading more and more new books, clarity will improve. Clarity doesn't improve by acquiring more and more information. In Vedanta, you cannot read, there is no 100,000 books you can read in Vedanta. Why? Because there is no further improvement that anybody can make. It is the same thing again and again. That's why it's called Anta. That's why in Vedanta, we really don't read hundreds and thousands of books. We choose a few books and we stick to that few books and go over it again and again and again. Are you able to follow? In the worldly sciences, you have to read new books. Why you have to read new books? Because there is a new layer. There is a new thing that is discovered. There is a new layer that was not known before, is known today. So that training, you don't do it in that training, you don't bring it in Vedanta. Are you able to follow? In worldly sciences, you have to read, you have to keep yourself updated. In Vedanta, it is Anta. That's why we keep using the word Vedanta, Vedanta, Vedanta. Anta, Anta, Anta means the end. Meaning, whatever is said, it will be reiterated again and again and again. No new things will be told. For there is nothing new to be, discovered here in terms of knowledge. But in terms of your clarity, able to see the difference? The book remains the same. You read the same book again and again and again. The book doesn't change. What changes? Your clarity. The mistake that people do is, once they finish one book, you want to go to the new book, isn't it? Another book. Why? Because this book I know. So what Swamiji has done, he has picked a few books. And said, this is enough to give you the clarity on the seeking. Once you gather that clarity, you may not need more. You will not need more. So when we say you grow, when you say the path to God, when we say evolution means knowledge, fact remains the same. Your understanding goes on improving. The 4 aphorisms that you have heard 10 years back, you will see it very differently 5 years back. You will see it very differently last time when we read the 4. Now that 4 aphorisms didn't change. Tattvamasi remained the same. Aham Brahmasmi remains the same. So path to God is a gradual growth. A gradual growth means a gradual growth in your clarity and understanding. And what all the areas that you should focus to bring about this clarity is going to say. The areas that you have to focus is what he is going to say in detail. So what we understand now, there is a growth. There is the growth. Path implies a destination. Path implies a destination. You will not ask, where is this road leading to? Correct? When you are asking for direction, what will you ask? You will not stand in the middle of the road and ask, where is this road leading to? This road is leading to Calcutta. This road is leading to Mumbai. This road is leading to Delhi. What would you do? On what basis you choose the road? The road, the path, the destination is chosen based on your goal, correct? You will not say, okay, I'll start walking towards Mumbai. It means your destination is Mumbai. If you start walking towards Calcutta, because from Chennai it is two different directions, no? Correct? From Chennai, either you go, it is two opposite directions. And if you want to go to Delhi, it is another direction. You just go straight up, isn't it? You just go straight up, you go to Delhi. You are there asking for the path is decided. The path means the direction, which is decided by the destination, the goal. So what is the goal? What is the goal here? The topic, the chapter itself has said it. Road to God. Path to God means the road to God. The road to God means what all you should do to get to the destination. Path means two things: what you should do and what you shouldn't do. In order to get to a destination, you need to know two things you need to know. What are the two things that you need to know in order to get to a destination? What you should do and what you should not do. That is going to be the next, the next few topics is going to be about what you should do and what you should not be doing. For only when these two are known, you can reach your destination. If these two is not known, your destination may be correct. You may have a interest in reaching the destination, but because of traveling in the wrong road, you will not reach the destination. So first is the destination. Second is the path. And what does path means? What you should do and what you shouldn't do. Path means a clear guidance, a clear instructions, a clarity on do's and don'ts. Understand that? It's not that you can't do whatever you feel like doing and reach the destination. They will follow? You can't do what you feel like doing. You have to follow you have to keep to the road, you have to keep to the path in order to reach the destination. But who are you to tell me, sir, what I should do and what I shouldn't do? I will do. Who is Vedanta to say? What is Vedanta to say what I should do and what I shouldn't do? I will choose. I will choose what I should do and what I shouldn't do. For I know what I am doing. In the last 2 minutes of the 6-7 sentences I spoke, what is the paradigm shift that you should do in that 5-6 sentences? Yeah. Assuming that at least even one person is listening, in the last 5-6 sentences, what is the paradigm shift that should happen? I, the usage of the word I. Correct. The usage of the word I. I will do what? I feel like doing. I know what I am doing. I am an independent person, so I can choose my own thing. If you are genuinely interested in the destination, the disciplines of the path will be very inspiring. If the disciplines are not inspiring, you are not interested in the destination. It's very simple. Able to follow? Where you are bargaining in the path, where you are negotiating the path, where you are bargaining in the path means you are not interested in the destination. If there is a genuine inspiration in the destination, you will not stop. You wouldn't negotiate. You wouldn't bargain. Oh, should I really do this? Why can't I? What are the alternatives available? There is no alternative. This is the only thing you do. Either you do or you lose the destination. Correct? So the very interest in the disciplines, the very motivation in the disciplines becomes non-negotiable. You would be motivated to do, inspired to do when the clarity in the goal is there. That's why paradigm shift is required. I'm trying to explain why this paradigm, what does this word paradigm shift means and how it is very important. Otherwise, what happens? There is always a discussion. What is a discussion? Okay, sir, I understand this method, Karma Bhakti Jnana Yoga, I understand. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? But then I heard, sir, somebody talking about chakra balancing. Should I try that also? Somebody said all the study, Karma Bhakti Jnana is a very long, windy path and all. It doesn't work at all. All that you got to do is something else. This is the quicker, faster method. Somebody comes and says, should I? Now, you start doing all this in relation to the path only when you lack clarity in the goal. Paradigm shift is required because once the clarity in the goal comes, the disciplines of do's and don'ts becomes very inspiring, non-negotiable. It will be motivating. You will be inspiring. You will not ask, should I do anything? For this, paradigm shift is required. Therefore, the topic, paradigm shift. Inspiration meaning? What does inspiration means? What is the synonym for inspiration? What is the synonym for inspiration? Anybody type on motivation? She said motivation. What is the synonym for inspiration? Conviction. Look up to. Synonym for inspiration. In Vedanta, inspiration, synonym perspiration. The synonym for inspiration according to Vedanta is perspiration. An inspired person means a person who's willing to perspire. I am very inspired, but I will not do anything. Correct? Able to follow? I am a very inspired person, but I will not do anything. Meaning, then it is not inspiration. So, anyway, wherever you hear the word inspiration, Aparna, remember perspiration. For only perspiration makes inspiration meaningful. Where there is no perspiration, there is no inspiration. It is just an emotional. It is just an emotional excitement. That emotional excitement is not inspiration. Inspiration. Wow is not inspiration. Clear? You say wow and go and move on to the next thing is not inspiration. Inspiration means the readiness to the sweat. Correct. So what is the synonym for inspiration now? Dictionary you make your own dictionary. In this classroom, we make our own dictionary. Kolatur. Seriya? We make our own dictionary here. Inspiration means readiness to sweat, perspiration. In order to perspire, in order to sweat, in order to put in the right effort, a paradigm shift in understanding is required. Otherwise, we will be waiting for inspiration, and we assume the inspiration will straight away carry you to moksha. You don't have to perspire at all because you have done a great favor by getting inspired. No. And that inspiration itself is enough, and that inspiration itself will take you to inspiration, isn't it? Paradigm shift is required for what? To bring about the perspiration. In order to what all areas perspiration means sticking to do's and don'ts. What does perspiration means? What does effort means? What does effort means? Everyone follow the answer? What does effort means? Effort means sticking to the discipline of do's and don'ts. What should be done? What should not be done? Do karma yoga. Don't do any other activities other than karma yoga. You stick to it. Are you able to follow? Do karma yoga. When it is said do karma yoga, what is implied in that saying do karma yoga? What is implied in that? Do not do any other activities other than karma yoga is implied there. Oh, you don't have to say do karma yoga, don't do sensual material activities. The other thing need not be told, because when you say do, the opposite is implied. The opposite is implied. Do karma bhakti jnana yoga means all your activities must be of this. Don't do anything else. It means you need to know what karma is. It means you need to know what bhakti is. It means you need to know what jnanam is. All that we are going to see. Don't worry. It's a very, very interesting, very practical chapter in terms of giving out all the various angles to the path. Don't worry. We'll be discussing that at least for next 2-3 sessions. And we are not in a hurry to finish any book, no? Correct? Please, I am not in a hurry. You may be in a hurry and I am not in a hurry. Since I am not in a hurry, since you are also stuck with me, you also can't be in a hurry to finish the book. You have to finish the next book. Veda, it doesn't matter. Whatever be the book, the same thing is going to be said again and again and again. So might as well go through the same thing again and again. So what is the paradigm shift? Paradigm shift is required in order to perspire. And perspiration means sticking to the path. Sticking to the path means, what is sticking to the path means? The road, all that is synonyms. What does it actually mean? Which is what the mind doesn't want. Correct? This is what the mind doesn't want. The mind says, I want the destination. I will determine the path. I will do what I feel like doing. I will not do whatever you ask me to do. I will not do. I will do whatever I feel like doing. But destination, you should reach the destination. How can you reach? You will start going to Delhi. You will wake up. You will end up in Lanka. What will happen? Isn't it? Yeah, in the opposite direction, isn't it? At least according to the map, I don't know. At least according to the map, you want to go to Delhi, you wake up, you will be in Lanka. Therefore, paradigm shift is required for this understanding. So that you are willing to put in the right effort. To achieve this, he says, one has to tune in all aspects of life to achieve this. One has to tune in all aspects of life. Those who lack this conviction, those who are not willing to perspire, lacking conviction means those who are not willing to perspire, put in the necessary effort, put in the right effort. What happens to them? They are lost. In what they are lost? In acquisition and enjoyment. They continue to circle in the non-seeker types only. Punarjanma. Again and again and again, they'll be going through this Punarjanma of being a non-seeker. A non-seeker is one who doesn't know, who wants contentment, but doesn't know what contentment is. That is the non-seeker. A seeker is one who knows. A seeker is one who knows what contentment is and is contented. Understand it from the consequences. A non-seeker are those who wants contentment. In Sanskrit, it's called tripti, isn't it? I think that's a common word in most of the Indian languages also. It's called tripti, isn't it? Tripti, isn't it? All the rituals, all the mantras, every day they say tripyata, tripyata, tripyata. They let everybody let everybody get to that state of contentment, 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 contentment. And they will not know what contentment is. Why? The goal of contentment, the path is wrong. Seeking the goal of contentment, they are walking in the wrong path. What is the wrong path they are walking in? The wrong path of materialism and sensualism. By walking the wrong path of acquisition and enjoyment, that path, where will it lead to? The path of acquisition and enjoyment, where it will lead to? Discontentment. But what are you seeking? Content. What are you seeking? Contentment. I want contentment, but where do you end up? Discontentment. Kathopanishad puts it in two parts, Shreyas and Preyas, he says. Shreyaha, Preyaha. There are these two paths, he says. Beautiful. Upanishad. Paradigm shift should happen, he says. In the first lesson of Yama, Nachiketas, he says, there should be a paradigm shift in Nachiketas. That's what he's quoting here. The paradigm shift should happen. What is the paradigm shift? The path from Preyas to Shreyas. What is Preyaha? Preyaha and Shreyaha. Preyaha na P-R-E-Y illa. Anshu. Preyaha doesn't mean P-R-E-Y-O-A. Preyaha, not praying. Preyaha is a derivation of Priya. It is that which gives Priya and that which gives Shreyas. So, Preyaha is a derivation of Priyaha. So, the path of the pleasant and the path of the evolution. Paradigm shift is required for what? To move from pleasant to evolution. Are you able to connect? What is the path of the pleasant? Preyaha leads to atrupti. That Preyaha leads to atrupti. Shreyas means ultimate good. In Arjuna, chapter 2, when he surrenders to Krishna, he says, teach me that which will give me Shreyas, he said. If you remember, Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, when Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, he said, teach me that which will give me Shreyas. And thank God he said, thank God he used the word Shreyas. We got the entire philosophy. So, paradigm shift is nothing but shift from Preyaha to Shreyaha. Preyaha means comes from the root Priyam. Priyam means pleasant. Priyam means pleasant. Romba priyama irukonu sir. Means you should be very pleasant. Are you able to follow? Paradigm shift is required from Preyaha to Shreyaha. And the paradigm shift happens if you understand the consequences of Preyaha and Shreyaha. For shift can happen only by understanding. There is no other method to shift. Shift can happen only through understanding. That's why we have to spend so much of time doing the Shravana Manana, because for paradigm shift to happen, there is only one method. What is the method? By proper understanding. What is understanding? Yama tells Nachiketas in Kathopanishad, which is what is spoken here as the paradigm shift. What is the consequences of this path, Nachiketas? What is the consequences of following the path of Priyam, Preyaha? What is the consequences of that? Atrupti. There is always something can keep upsetting you. That is what discontentment means. Yes. Discontentment means what? There are always 200 things that can upset you. That is a constant sense of atrupti. What is tripti means? Whatsoever happens around you, you are contented. That is the path, that is Shreya. So by understanding the consequences, what are the consequences? There is always an atrupti, discontentment. Discontentment in relation to health, discontentment in relation to wealth, discontentment in relation to knowledge. Discontentment in relation to health, isn't it? Discontentment in relation to health means what? Right through, some part of the body keeps giving pain always. Stomachache will come, headache will come, toothache will come. If nothing is happening, you will eat something and you will, you will eat something and you will get sick. If nothing is happening, you will trip over and fall and break. So, body, always there is always something, always discontented with the health, body, the health. Always discontented with the wealth. Health, wealth, knowledge, environment. Environment also, 4 things. The 4 things gives constant atrupti. What are the 4 things that gives constant atrupti? This is what will happen if you follow the path of Preyaha. So paradigm shift is required. So if you follow the path of Preyaha, what will happen? 4 things will give discontentment. What are the 4 things that will give discontentment? Environment. Yeah. I brought in environment last, but then in the order of grossness to subtlety, start with environment. Yeah. Environment means this house is not right, house is not right, the neighbor is not right, the persons in the house is not right. Idella environment. And There are 200 million things that can go wrong in the environment that can cause you atrupti. Preyaha. You are following the path of preyaha. Then comes the body, and then comes the wealth, or you can say environment, wealth, body, knowledge. You can put it if you want the krama, if you want the proper sequence, put it like that. What is the proper sequence? Environment, wealth, body, knowledge. Atrupti can come from environment, atrupti can come from wealth. What is atrupti of wealth? How much ever you have, something more is, how much ever you have, something more is required, isn't it? How much ever you have, something more is required. Wealth. And then comes body. Last atrupti is knowledge. You know more and you want to know more. Atrupti. Are you able to follow? Venkatachalam. Yeah. You know more and you want to know much more. Yeah. Atrupti in relation to knowledge. Therefore, you find in the path of preyaha, that which is priyam, pleasant, there is always atrupti. Paradigm shift is required to move from preyaha to shreyaha. How to do that? The next 4 topics is going to talk about environment and body. I don't know what all he's going to speak. He's going to talk about environment and body, and he's going to talk about mind and intellect. He's going all that. He's going to talk about detachment, renunciation, etc. I'm talking from my memory. If I have brought in the wrong sequence, ninga correct sequence potukongo. I am purely talking from the memory of it. Are you able to follow? So from preyaha to shreyaha is the paradigm shift. The consequences of shreyaha, the consequences of following that which is priyam, the consequences of following that which will give you shreyas will bring about the shift in understanding. And understanding requires constant understanding requires constant manana. For without manana, understanding will not happen. And manana implies Shravana. That we need not say. Wherever we talk about manana, what is implied? Shravana is implied. So the constant Shravana, manana brings about the shift in understanding, what is known as the paradigm shift. This is the classic Upanishadic style of talking. Paradigm shift should happen, a complete shift, not in halves, not in quarters, not one leg there, one leg here. It's not. It should happen. It should happen completely. It means what? From non-seeker, turn to a seeker. And wherever there is, you will be following a krama. You will be following a sequence. You cannot jump steps. Whatever it is, you have to follow the sequence. So the first paradigm shift is what? From the non-seeker to the seeker. And then you understand even this non-seeker and seeker itself is a wrong analysis. For all human beings are seekers. All human beings are seekers. All beings are seekers and all seek the same entity. Are you able to follow the shift now? All human beings are seekers and all of them are seeking the same entity. Paradigm shift is required so that You are on the right path. Even here we are making it, even though we give one explanation as non-seeker, seeker, non-seeker type 1, non-seeker type 2, seeker type 1, seeker type 2. Wow, எல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்கிற மாதிரி இருக்கும். Yama will come and say, அதெல்லாம் Saturday class blabbering தான் அதெல்லாம் நடக்கும். We don't worry, we don't accept all that. We say only one thing. What? Yama will say this. What he will say? Paradigm, a paradigm shift. What is that paradigm shift? There is no seeker, there is no non-seeker seeker. For all human beings are seekers only. What is the difference? Are you on the right road or are you on the wrong road? It is the road. It is the path that you are taking that makes the difference, not the destination. Now, what is very important to reach the destination? The path. Very important is, one is to have a clarity on the destination, but perspiration is required to be on the path. Why? Because temptations. Because of temptations. Because of weaknesses, because of temptations, the other thing looks appealing, the other thing looks motivating, the other things may look very perfect, whatever be it. Therefore, paradigm shift. What is a paradigm shift? From the wrong path, you shift to the right path. Destination is there. What is the destination? From atripti to tripti. Destination is very clear. Satoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Gamaya means lead. Gamaya, lead. For the destination is very clear. The confusion is regarding the confusion is never regarding the destination. The confusion is always regarding the path. Therefore, paradigm shift says clarity on the destination is there. Clarity is required to be on the right path. And what is the right path? How do you know what is the right path? Right path is that where there is a krama sequence. Where there is a sequence, where there is a logical sequence, that is the right path. Are you able to follow? Anybody comes and says this is the quicker method, this is the faster method, you understand? You will not fall for that. You should not fall for that. Why? Because you cannot jump. The example they give is the destination is the same. You can walk, you can cycle, you can run. How if I take you by flight? And obviously what you will want to do, Vijay Rangan? What you will want to do? Flight, huh? Paradigm shift says we don't get tempted like that. Yeah. Paradigm shift says we don't get tempted like that. We will not fall for all that. Why? Because we understand path means it has to have a krama. Krama means sequence. And most of the time, the mistake that people make is they want to short circuit. They want to bypass the method. They're using the latest technology. Using in those days, all that they did. Now, where there is so much of advancement of science and technology and everything is there, how can we leverage this? Leverage, yeah? That's a correct word, huh? What all terms they use? How to leverage the advancements so that, Aparna, we can go it faster. Guru, don't try all that. Huh? Leverage you can't leverage all that. For here, there is the sequence. What is the sequence? He's going to give the sequence. Very beautifully, he's going to give the sequence. You have to follow the sequence. And the sequential means perspiration. Sequence means perspiration. And you will be motivated to perspire because you have understood it rightly. You will want to jump the steps. You will want to short circuit because you think there is an easy way. And life teaches you there is no easy way, there is no hard way. For hard and easy is the mind's interpretation. There is only one way, the effort. Hard and easy is the mind's interpretation in relation to its own greed. It's hard work, sir. Easy it is this hard and easy is always in relation to it's in relation to the greed of the mind. Are you able to follow? See, anything you say easy, anything you say hard, life says there is no such thing called hard or there is no such thing called easy. This is the krama. This is how it grows. This is how the natural evolution happens. But the mind calls it as hard and it wants easy. On what basis the mind calls something as hard and on what basis the mind wants it to be easier? It is entirely dependent on the greed of the mind. The moment proper understanding comes, the moment proper paradigm shift has happened, it says whatever the required effort is would be done. As the paradigm shift. Whatever is the necessary required effort, it would be done. No discussion whether it is hard or easy. For this is the required effort, and this required effort would be done to get there. Is known as the paradigm shift. But the mind interpreting it, the mind which is greedy by nature wants it to be fast. What should be the path according to the mind? The path according to the mind should be faster, quicker, easier. Yeah. It should be faster, it should be quicker, it should be easier, and no price, for free. Isn't it? No price, for free. How nice it would be, isn't it? Faster. I forgot.
Faster, quicker, easier.
Faster, quicker, easier, for free. For free. Adum. For free. Yeah. Nothing in life comes for free, including Vedanta classes. Correct? Venkat? Idu kuda free anna? Huh? Are we giving it for free, Venkat? Including Vedanta class, nothing in life comes for free. Now, free no sollum avladhan. We will call it as free, that's all. But then, yeah, you will end up thinking fixing a fee is much better than calling it free, and so nothing comes for nothing, including Vedanta class, nothing comes for free. Paradigm shift is nothing but a proper understanding in being motivated to put in the necessary effort. Hidden cost, Subramaniam, correct? Correct. Vedanta class hidden cost la pottar avaru. Hidden cost la illa, direct da appeal letter kudukurom. Where is the hidden cost? Guru Purnima emotional we attack and something else we attack. How many times we emotional hidden cost la illa. Venkatachalam, correct? Therefore, what is paradigm shift? Paradigm shift is the right understanding. What is the right understanding? The right understanding of the destination, the right understanding of the path, and the right understanding of the required effort. The right understanding of the destination, the path, the effort. In order to do that, and this has to be done in a sequence, last point. It has to be done in a sequence, and you can't fast track it. You can't make it faster. You can't make it quicker. Or if anybody says it can be made faster, it can be made quicker, you understand what? You refuse to get tempted. You refuse to get tempted because you know that it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. This is the paradigm shift. To put it in a Upanishadic language, paradigm shift is nothing but from Preyaha to Shreyaha. As a paradigm shift. Kathopanishad. Yama starts Nachiketas by this training. Nachiketas, if you want to moksha, first thing that is required is paradigm shift. From Preyaha to Shreyaha. That's the paradigm shift, and you go through it in a proper method. You go through it in a proper sequence. What is a proper method and sequence? Is the entire chapter Path to God. We'll continue with environment, body, mind and intellect, objectivity and renunciation, etc. in the next class, in the following classes. So what is the paradigm shift? Path to God for today? Preyaha to Shreyaha. Understand these two words. You can recollect the entire sequence if you understand these two words. From paradigm shift is from Preyaha to Shreyaha. With this, we conclude for today. There is a clarification here. We'll take it up, and then if there are anything else, we'll take that. Yes.
Generalize all human beings are seekers. And the seeker 1, seeker 2 types.
She's asking the seeker type 1, seeker type 2. The seeker type 1 is in the initial stages of the path, which I said, Jnana Yogena Sankyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. Seeker type 1 is a Karma Yogi. Seeker type 2 is Jnana Yogi, as said in verse 3, chapter 3. Are you able to follow? Jnana Yogena Sankyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. He comes from the subtler to the grosser in the verse. Jnana Yogena Sankyanam Karma. First he talks about the higher and then he comes. But then we understand it from ascending order, descending order. Upanishad style is மேல இருந்து கீழ. மேல இருந்து கீழனா what do you call? Descending, isn't it? From PhD to, if you are not fit for PhD, masters, not masters, bachelors, not bachelors, high school, not high school, kindergarten. Adu illiya, wait. Yeah. This open. Now we work. How do we work? Ascending order. From alphabets, kindergarten to school to university. We go in that sequence. So in that sequence, what does it mean? Seeker 1 is the Karma Yogi. Jnana Yogena Sankyanam, Karma Yogena Yoginam. Reference verse 3, chapter 3. Verse 3, chapter 3. Seriya? Any other clarification?
So I have a clarification. We talked about the
You forgot the rules. You forgot the rules.
Oh, I have to praise you. I thought you can take it for granted, sir.
No. I like to hear that,
Very good.
One person will not do, at least you all do that. No.
It's a great clarification of many things,
Yes.
including, but I have one clarification, is that we talked about dropping 4 words,
Yes.
I, my, me, and
Yeah.
the material instrument.
Yes.
But the intellect alone
Yes.
is different in the sense that helps us to choose. I mean, that helps us for free will. The
Yes.
free will that we saw recently in Bhagavad Gita. And
Yes.
also, that's one thing that helps us to achieve our goal.
Yes.
That should be the last thing that we can drop.
Yes, exactly. That is the last thing you drop. Like the pole vault example.
That's a
Correct.
perfect example.
Yes, correct. That's the last thing. That's the last thing you drop.
Yes.
The pole is the last thing you drop.
So and another question relating to that, if we see the religion as we practice today,
Yeah.
we're talking about surrendering.
Yes.
And when we say surrender, that includes our intellect too.
Exactly.
So this way, our approach of free will and also this prayatana, this effort that we are talking about is in a completely different path versus the religion as it is practiced today.
Now, the religion as they practice, the first thing, religion has a few things. There is the ritual part to religion. There is the mythology part to religion. And then there is a set of values and then philosophy.
Okay.
So what is religion?
Combination of all.
Combination of all these. There is a set of rituals.
Okay.
There is some mythology. There is some set of values and then the philosophy.
Philosophy.
Correct? These four put together is what religion is of.
All.
And the entire religion itself is founded on the principle of Shraddha. Okay, all these four has one common thing. What is it? Shraddha. And we have seen Shraddha doesn't have any equivalent in English translation. So we stick to the word
Faith.
Shraddha itself. Yeah. And that Shraddha is a discipline of the intellect. Because mind is that which comes with its own doubts all the time. Because the mind is seeking immediate proof, the mind is seeking instant, immediate, the mind is that which is seeking immediate results. The mind is that which is seeking instant proofs, immediate results, always have a doubt. And what calms the mind?
The
The
intellect.
quality of Shraddha. Therefore, and it is Shraddha is a quality of the intellect. And Shraddhavan labate jnanam. That is said very clearly. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. The person of Shraddha alone gains knowledge. You able to follow?
Yes.
Therefore, surrender in the way that is practiced is not a distinct and different path. Surrender is an essential integrated path. For surrender has to be integrated with knowledge. If surrender is opposed to knowledge, which is what people misunderstand.
Okay.
Surrender is misunderstood as opposite of knowledge. Surrender itself is knowledge. For surrender happens itself out of knowledge. Therefore, the path of surrender is not opposite of knowledge. I don't know medicine. I surrender to a doctor who knows medicine. Correct?
Yes.
I don't know medicine. I surrender to the doctor who knows medicine. I don't know law. I surrender to the lawyer who knows law. I do not know accounting. I don't surrender to Subramaniam. I will surrender to somebody else. Because he also doesn't know. So I do not know accounting. I surrender to somebody who knows accounting. So surrender comes out of knowledge. What is the knowledge? The knowledge of your ignorance. So surrender comes out of the knowledge and understanding of your ignorance. The way in which people misunderstand surrender is they believe that if they surrender, they will be protected from all the past violations of the law.
Yeah.
I have violated the law, now I surrender. And they believe the surrender will wipe out everything and I will be protected. Vedanta comes and says that kind of surrender is against the very law itself. In that way, surrender doesn't work. Are you able to follow? Therefore, they are not two different paths. In this chapter, there is this, in the path to God, there is a topic called the integrated path. When we discuss that integrated path, I'll be elaborating this. There's an integrated path. How they are not distinct and different. Even though for understanding purposes, we talk about as though they are distinct and different. When we are studying something for understanding purposes, we break it up and understand separately, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then we understand that they are not separate, distinct and different. They all function together. Like the car is, we can segregate the car into 4 or 5 major technologies. You can break up the face into the eyes separately, the ear separately, the nose separately, etc. But then that is only for understanding purposes. So for understanding purposes, we may talk about it as Karma Yoga separately, Bhakti Yoga separately, Jnana Yoga separately. But when it comes to actual practice, it is more of an integration. Integration means sequentially doing. That I will explain it when we go there. Are you able to follow? Venkatachala. So there is this topic, integrated path here. When we go there, I will discuss that also in detail. Okay? Anything else? Okay. With this, we conclude for today and we continue with environment and body.